So, one of the great questions of animatum, which is, what is anime? Now, this is for the most part a very loaded question when you talk to anime fans, or geeks, or otaku, or whatever they want to call themselves. So let's discuss the makeup of an anime. So, the first question you need to ask yourself when you consider what is and is not an anime is, who can really answer the question? So, we have Western fans, we have the Japanese themselves, we have people who have no idea what anime is, and we have people who actually know what anime is. So then, you see people having this discussion, and it's very clear that they're set in their ways, and they will not take an explanation or an answer which isn't theirs. You see most people who contest to have a definitive answer that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, because the real question is, again, who can give the answer? The Japanese, because almost no one agrees with their definition. American fans seem to fall into many different camps, and other fans around the world seem to fall into one of two camps. People who know... People who are known as officials and specialists in anime are generally pretty much as credible as people who are considered specialists in UFOs. They're self-proclaimed specialists. So this question really comes down to one of four discussion points, and that's geography, style, content, and conjecture. So the first part of the answer that most rabid American anime fans / fanboys and fangirls give, these are the people that annoy the crap out of you. Which is not to say I don't know fanboys and fangirls who are nice enough people and actually know what they're talking about, but the vast majority of them, again, are just going to argue what they think, and they're not going to take your opinion or well-thought-out answer. These are the people who say it must be made in Japan to be anime. Now, this is actually not really an odd idea. The problem is that the Japanese disagree. The Japanese, in fact, call all cartoons anime. When I taught English in Japan, in a little bitty town called Miyoshi, which I miss very much, the kids there thought it was hilarious that I tried to make a definition between American cartoons and Japanese anime, because they call Mickey Mouse anime. They call, everything anime. They don't see a difference. It's all animation. It's what anime is short for, of course. So, while I'm inclined to agree that there's a point to be made here, I'm also inclined to say that the Japanese, again, would disagree, and really, are you going to argue with them? So, then we go to the second, point, style. So, if anime is a style, this entails that anime is anime because it is of higher quality, has more adult content, and or is handled a different way. But of course that raises problems with Western anime that could really be considered comparable. Batman the Animated Series, Avatar the Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, Teen Titans to a certain extent, Kim Possible to a certain extent. All of these shows really could be anime, and as a matter of fact, a lot of them are very popular in Japan, and again, the Japanese, especially kids, see absolutely no difference. So the third point, then, I guess, is content. Going back to that idea that anime is more serious, it's serious business. Sailor Moon, which is a kids show, deals with some pretty, heavy stuff, even if it is stupid a lot of times. Same thing with Dragon Ball, same thing with almost any anime you could find, except for animes specifically aimed at kids. And I always ask people, what do they think of this? So, if it's a content thing, what about Hamtaro? What about Doraemon? Shows that are very clearly aimed at kids, and really comparable to American cartoons aimed at kids. The fourth point is probably the point that you're going to come to in any discussion dealing with this, which is conjecture. And if you get to conjecture, you're basically shot for, an argument. Okay, so my opinion, my point to be made here is that as time goes along, cartoon shows interpopulate to a certain extent, even in their production. Legend, at least a season and a half of Legend of Korra was actually made in Japan, animated there. A lot of Japanese animes are now actually done in Korea. There are European shows that become popular in other places and are arguably comparable to anime. So really, my opinion, from living in Japan, living in the United States, being an anime fan in both places, is really, I kind of have to decide with the Japanese on this. Either everything is anime, or nothing is anime. And it's really quite stupid to argue over. Of course, fans are going to argue over stuff regardless, fans are going to argue that that Edward, is a vampire, not a disco ball. That Twilight is literature, clearly insane ramblings of fans. But the fact of the matter is that yes, there is a discernible feel to anime, but unfortunately, it probably comes down to that argument of how do you know it's porn? And of course, the Supreme Court Justice's answer was, I know it when I see it. Anime probably comes down to that, and we're just going to have to agree that some shows are going to be... Oh man, wow, that's so gassy. Some shows are just going to have to come down to conjecture, but we can agree on the vast majority of them, and those other ones we'll just have heated debates and discussions about, I suppose.